what I've noticed, right, is usually about your 5-year mark is where you start to get to that point where it's like you start covering base, right? Where you start getting real partners, right? And I think to a brand partner, they're looking at it like, okay, they've been consistent for 5 years, because most things don't last 5 years. You know, most sporting events don't last 5 years. Most festivals don't last 5 years. Restaurants don't last 5 years. You know, so a lot of things that don't last 5 years. So if you could do something for 5 years consistently, right, you're showing somebody that you're gonna do this, right? And you know, so that is a value and an investment of itself. That if they could do it for 5 years through the ups and downs, they're gonna do it for 5 more.
Welcome back to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. I got my girl Avi with me. What's going on?
What's up? I feel like it's been a while.
It's been we've been busy.
I know.
Monday's been crazy for us between traveling and
my goodness gracious,
a lot of other things. You
I know.
It's been kind of, but good and crazy in a good way though.
Absolutely. And it's only going to get crazier as the summer goes. So it's nice to come back home for a little bit and chill out, have another guest.
Yeah, we got a phenomenal guest today. Me and this guy, we go back, oh, damn, about 16 years or so. Yeah. Probably even longer than that. But but I think we officially got a chance to first meet each other around 2007 or so. He was a student at Buff State. I was the old dude who had graduated from college, but I was still around because I was DJing.
Right.
So shout out to my crew. I ain't the old dude, the pervert dude like
that. You talking about just hanging around?
Not like that.
She was just right on campus.
Like, just can't give it up. You know what I mean? Like, no, not that guy. But I was still getting money, you know. So, and we were DJing, and he had this incredible promotions company called Crown Entertainment that he launched back in the day, and did some incredible things with it. And I think that was my first introduction to him. We actually, my crew at the time, MyTunes, shout out to MyTunes, man. Like that's a throwback for real, you know. But we had the opportunity to DJ a party that he threw. They had Jay Holiday. Shout out to Jay Holiday. Had him here in Buffalo.
Okay. A lot of people won't know that who they're now.
Yeah. Go on Tubi. You'll find him on Tubi right now. You know what I'm saying? But Jay Holiday. You remember that song?
Yep.
Biggest record.
So, but since then, I mean, Lindsey has just been taking off, man. Like, and that he hasn't been taking off. He's completely out of this world right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's been doing some incredible things. I got a chance to, and we're going to talk a little bit about all of it, from Crown Entertainment to Balling for a Cause to, you know, a lot of the philanthropy stuff, the Queen City Classic. I mean, he got a lot of stuff that he was doing. And, of course, he has this amazing festival that's going into its 7th year now, the Buffalo Music and Arts Festival here in Buffalo, that we want to talk a lot about. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guy, my brother, Mr. Lindsey Taylor. What's good, bro?
That was a hell of an introduction. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate you being on the pod today, bro. So we wanted to have you on to kind of talk about just everything that you have going on, bro. You got a lot. Like, people come to me sometimes and, you know, like, oh, Jamil, you the unofficial mayor of Buffalo. Nah, that's this dude right here. That is this dude right here. You know what I'm saying?
Like mayor and deputy.
Yeah, I'm not even done. I'm nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm absolutely nothing.
Man.
But
I try to stay away from that. Yeah, somebody said it to me earlier. I was doing another content shoot earlier today, and they said, I'm like, hold on, man. Like, I like the lane I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
like don't try to push me nowhere else, huh?
Yeah.
But you know, that's the crazy thing, though, because when you're super active and doing some incredible things in the community and doing things for the people and, like, this putting on for the culture, oftentimes people try to push you in that direction to run for office. Like, that's, like, the next thing, you know? And I'm like, and I just personally feel like that you don't necessarily have to be in office or be in politics to effectuate change.
Right. And I feel the same way. So like, that's been my biggest thing, right? Is like, you don't have to be in that particular role to really have impact, right? And the many different avenues that I'm involved in, the impact that I'm able to, see and influence, able to see is great, right? And then, that lane is for some people, and and it's not that, I don't, I'm not, we go to those different events and support those things, and not like I don't get support from many elected officials. But when you become in that role, sometimes you can get boxed in, into what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, right? Like you just talked about, before we got on, talking about going to Jamaica, like how, can I go to Jamaica if I'm in office? Will it look frowned upon if I want to go to Jamaica for a week?
You spending taxpayer dollars.
You know what I'm saying? If I want to go have some eat or drink at the Rose, like somebody will be mad that I haven't eaten. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you kind of sacrifice a little bit of your lifestyle with it. So but at the same time you're taking a little bit of an honor. When people say it, because like they're saying the way that that you're making an impact, right? And this, in a good way that people, that they can, tangibly see. Sometimes people don't, even though it's tangible in the political realm, in some aspects, it's hard for people to kind of see that sometimes because there's so many layers that get involved.
I think that's a way too. Maybe people don't know it, but that's a way of people saying that they trust you in what you do as well, because I think that's what we need. We need some trusting people in offices. So when we see people like y'all doing what y'all doing for the community, that's where we want y'all.
Right. It's the trust. It is the trust factor, right? People just, it goes hand in hand with like the church. People just have they doubts a little bit in regards to leadership. It could be a pastor, he pull up in a caddy. Oh, he split my ties. You know what I'm saying? He may have a whole other business that he got going on, a full-time job, but they related to the church, So it's good to have that trust. It's good to have, like that, I guess you could say really consistency where people see it, and when you're in office, you can do many of those things, like you have now those avenues to do many of those things, but you do spend a good amount of time having to reelect and rerun. Yeah. So I think
you're
that's
in a constant state of like
you're in a constant state of proving you're getting back out there to the grind. So like, you kind of like lose some time of actually doing the work. Trying to campaign.
And you know what, too? I mean, to the point, yes, you're right that it's good that people see you in a certain light because of the consistency and such, and they feel like that they can trust you. But it's different once you get in office, though. Because it's just like once you're there, you almost become like public enemy number one. You know what I mean? It's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. For some people.
It's a large in our scenarios, to a degree, we can control our demographics, who we serve, and who's coming to our events. The impact the impact and direction we want to take our things to. When you're talking about, mayor or city council or state legislator or senator, it's a wide variety of people with a variety of different views, inputs, and it's just like we could be doing what we're doing right now, but as soon as you add that politic on that surname to it, it goes a whole different. And I keep relating it back to like the church. If you used to become a pastor, it's like, all the good stuff you did, it's out the window.
You can't do nothing, because they thinking you taking from the parishioners of the church.
In the 30s,
all that is done. All of that is done. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons why because I had my son in working in government for a long time.
Right, we both did.
Yeah, we both did. Right, so and a lot of people were trying to push me in that direction, and I was. Something just in my gut was just like, nah, this is not the way for me to effectuate change. Because I didn't want to be boxed in.
Right.
I didn't want to be put in that box and feel like that I can't have a life or feel like that my life is now about everybody else's, like, and people feel a sense of entitlement too when you are in office. They feel like that you owe them something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good on that. I feel you on that. But aside from all of the politics, though, because you've had an incredible career, bro. When it comes to the things that you've been doing in business, in community, working with youth, Again, bro.
He did it all, huh?
Yeah, he's literally done it all. You know what I mean? And it's been recognized for it. Shout out to Changemakers 30 under 30.
Absolutely.
That was my first recognition. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that.
That was the first recognition I've actually got. That was back in 2010. The first
2011. Yeah.
2011. The first year you did. That was like my first ever recognition. Like not outside of like high school, like honor roll and stuff like that, and those type of things. But
Yeah, and then going on from that, came back. It was our first ever Outstanding Alumni Award, which is now the Changemakers Icon Award, and just been doing some incredible things, man. And I've always just wanted to be connected to Lindsey because he and I have a lot in common. You know, we have a lot in common, and we both have this passion for community. We both have this passion just for culture and just driving culture and pushing culture forward, right? So, and I think the older I got, though, I'm getting a little bit more like I'm tired, But you keep going, bro.
Let somebody else do it.
Yeah, no. It definitely takes a toll, and many things that people talk about. I know we'll get into, but many things that people talk about, kind of like what I'm doing is like. But even like over the last, I would say like 4 or 5 years, I've actually like scaled back on doing a lot of things, and I more or less honed in on probably 2 or 3 things, but expanding to those 2 or 3 things, because like you said, like you can, get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And burnout is real. You know what I mean?
Burnout is definitely real, and you'll hit them points. Many of times, I hit those points probably like 2 or 3 times. Throughout a burnout is definitely real. Then obviously once you start, having a family, you got to take an account of that. It's back in the day, back in them 2007 days, staying up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, working on stuff and proposals and being up all late at night and waking back up, or be going all day when you got kids. It's a lot different because now you got a balance, you got a family, you got a wife and stuff like this. It's a lot harder to do, to balance. You can't, you got to spend some time, so you may have to cut out a 2-hour window, just to get a little bit of time, wait everybody go to sleep, and then, if you got to get back up. But yeah.
So, Lindsey, let's talk about it a little bit, man, because again, we, just saying that you've had this incredible run into your career, kind of take us back to, those Crown Entertainment days and kind of take us up to where we are today.
Yeah. So like, I think like the thing about it is like, people always like get to like, how do you like, all these different things that you're involved in. Some people may relate it to one thing or a multitude of things. I probably say really started from like my childhood. Growing up as like an athlete, I played multiple different sports. Football, basketball, track, baseball. Even outside, like we would go through a variety of different sports just in one day. You know what I'm saying? Be outside playing. One minute we playing kickball, the next one we playing basketball, the next one we playing football, and it's all happening in one evening being outside, right? So it was all happening right there. So that was like the grooming to be able to multitask, right, and to be able to be sociable. But I even like look at it back now. I was like even like when I was them early years, like when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, we would like organize like little leagues and stuff like that amongst ourselves. Like, here's our standings. If I beat you in this, and you start organize like these little like street-wide leagues amongst each other, like just as fun as friends as competition is being out there. So like all that plays a part, and then that kind of went into high school. And actually, I rarely tell the story, but it's so I was going to Sweden High School, graduate student in high school. So I was going there, and I had asked a few students. I'm like, yo, do we have like a senior class trip? And at the time, Sweet Home didn't. They didn't have a senior class trip. So like this, we didn't go nowhere. So me and a friend, Ryan Gervix, we literally got together and we like did like a poll to all the seniors, the class and stuff like that, and said, hey, like if we were to put together a senior class trip, where would y'all want to go? And we had like 3 options. We had like New York City, Busch Gardens in Virginia, and then Cedar Point. And then once we got everybody to petition and sign up for it, we then took it to the student council, and then the advisors and so forth like that, and it got approved. So that we was able.
Y'all go Cedar Point.
Huh? We Cedar Point because financially, financially, but everybody wanted to go to Busch Gardens. Everybody wanted. Busch Gardens had the most votes, but then financially, fires because you had to, Virginia, I think it's like closer to like Norfolk at the time.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
like a 10-hour drive. So you have to spend like a day or so going out there, you know. So you count 2 days of just travel, so it gets a little bit more expensive. For that. And then going into college, so right out the gate, even before Crown Entertainment, I immediately got involved with the Student Union Board, which at Buff State, that's like SA at UB, where we do all of the Fall Fest, the Spring Fest. So like my freshman year, got immediately involved into that, and actually the first concert we produced was that like September-ish. I can't remember the month, but it was like that early, and it was like Fat Joe, LaToya Luckett, and Remy Ma.
I remember that.
So that was the first concert that I was actually a part of. What got me excited about it is because it was like the semester before, was that Spring Fest semester. No, it was Spring Fest semester. Oh my God, Jesus! Spring semester before was the Busta Rhymes concert at Buff State, and that was like my introduction to Buff State. It was like, okay, that was like May, and I was graduating in June, and that was a crazy concert. I still say to this day, like, I don't care what anybody says, Busta Rhymes is the best on stage performer.
Oh, absolutely.
Energy,
people have said that.
Gravitate that.
1,000%.
You don't need all the pyro. It's just him. Him Spliff.
And Spliff,
They gonna give you a show. We literally move. He probably was up there. He was up there for like an hour. Everybody literally moving, sweating, like energy was high and just everything. Just him and Spliff. You know, a lot of people now you gotta have the pyro and LED screens and the smoke machines and the dancers. You know, real MC Hammer. So. So I got into that, and then I, started getting involved with, student clubs, African American, Caribbean Association, and then I was actually staying on campus at that time. Even though I'm from Buffalo, I was like, I wanted to have a little bit of like the college experience and stay on campus. Yeah. So I was staying on campus at that time, so that I was able to help network amongst the campus. Right, I didn't really know what networking was at the time, but just being on campus, you're around everybody all the time, and during them years you up all day and up all night. It was no time clock to college. So that really helped to get to know everybody on the campus. And then my second, the spring semester, my freshman year, I ended up moving off campus, but I ended up moving on Reed Street. So if anybody's familiar with Buff State, Reed Street.
Yeah, Reed.
Yeah, so
Reed was legendary.
So Buff State has some legendary streets. That back in that day, and this is like a whole like document, but Buff State has some legendary. So Reed Street is one, Bird Street is another street, and then Letchworth is another street. That's where the bar was in the back. But Reed Street,
I remember all of
the
it.
trap house, you had a number of different houses. But so I ended up had a house right there on Reed Street, literally right. It's one of the only like 3 houses still standing up on Reed Street after they knocked everything else down, and it's the one that's sitting right next to the community center, and. It was my birthday, and I'm like, yo, I'm just going to do a party. You know what I'm saying? Now, actually, it was funny. It was this girl. Her name was Leslie. And she did a birthday party, I want to say, on Reed Street, but it was on the other block. And she was like, yeah, Lindsey, everybody bang me. I'm the freshman, everybody bang me. She was trying to kind of like being joking. I'm like, okay, cool. So I ended up doing a birthday party at my house and packed the joint out, top to bottom. So that was my first, like, party per se. It was in the house. So then at the time I was playing football at Buff State, and it was like the DBs. They called themselves the Wild Boys, and they was like, "Yo,
you taking it back, bro."
Yeah, still is. So, and they was like, "Yo, like we was thinking about doing a party. Obviously, we know each other. From this and this. He was like, can we do one at the crib?" And that happened to be like 2-3 weeks later. So everybody's still talking about my birthday party. So it was just like a quick synergy back to that. So that was like the first week of March. We do it, and literally, like 30 minutes, the house is like packed.
Rammed out.
I give it a back. It was rammed. Like nobody gave a damn about space. Everybody neck to neck in there. So campus police comes to shut the party down because they see so many kids leaving campus. So they shut it down. I'm thinking like, yo, I'm about to get kicked out of school because like they going in there, man. As you see people screaming, they shoving like they shoving cannabis behind toilets, liquor bottles, everything. Back then it was like hypnotic and all that stuff. So I'm standing on the porch talking to the cops. My other roommates is kind of like trying to help get people out. And the one cop, so there's like 2 or 3 cops on the porch and they counting. People coming. The one cop was counting. The other cop is literally coming out of the house with all the liquor bottles in the house and just dumping them in the snow. Right up. Another cop just kind of like talking to me. But he wasn't like interrogating. He kind of just like, yo, boom, boom, you know. So he's pouring in the snow, and I say to the cop, I'm like, man, if somebody eat that snow, they're going to be sauced. Because you just keep pouring this shit. So the count, so it happened to be 450 people in the house.
What?
Damn, bro.
In the first half hour. And there was still people coming down the street.
While the cops was there?
While the cops was there. So then my other woman had to go outside like, yo, I got to go back to campus. So then, nonetheless, cops left. Nothing crazy really happened about it. But we ended up like taking the party like on campus, like inside of one of the dorms. Not like crazy, but everybody's going back to the dorms, kind of chilling. And that spurred into doing a party with the Wild Boys at the ballroom. We linked up with the Qs, and that was crazy. That was a crazy party. Packed that joint out, and then that's what spurred me to get into Crown Entertainment. My first party with Crown Entertainment officially was July 4th, and that was at the Groove.
Oh man. Groove, legendary, another legendary spot.
Goodness,
Yep.
yeah.
That was another legendary spot. So, you know, transition, you know, you had your run with Crown Entertainment, did some legendary events with that, parties, concerts, I mean, you name it, you did it. But then you transitioned, you got into like the sports space, you know, had the Ballin' for a Cause. You was doing that for a number of years. Kind of briefly talk about that.
Yeah, so just a nutshell, like, so when Crown Entertainment was launched, it was always my thing, this is going to be the stepping stone. I always said that, this is the stepping stone. This is not going to be, I'm not going to get boxed in with, you know, being a nightclub promoter or promoter in general. So, like, really, like, our second year really in with Crown Entertainment was, like, we started to branch out and started doing a lot of different things. So, like we got into, like, voter registration. We was doing talent shows. We did a trip with BET and took for spring break. We did a number of different things. Then we actually launched Ballin' for a Cause in 2008. So that was, like, the first endeavor into sports was Ballin' for a Cause with Crown Entertainment. And that's what launched it. And then that became its own brand for 12 years. So we went from that from 2008 to right before the pandemic, 2019. And then that created its own avenues and going from just a men's tournament to women's to kids to not just in Buffalo, but we were doing it in Toronto, we were doing it in Cleveland, Akron, Pittsburgh. We did it in Dallas, did it in New York City, did it in Baltimore. We even started bringing teams in from all over the world to come in and play here in Buffalo. So that created its own thing, and then that kind of like birthed Queen City Classic, and then also birthed Goals, which was a soccer brand. So birthed a lot of different other things that kind of came out of that. Yeah,
that's super dope, bro. So now you're in this space where in addition to the work that you do, because we could talk about the work that you do working as a coach and things like that right now, but also you have like this amazing festival that you started here in Buffalo. It's called the Fleuve Music and Arts Festival.
Yeah.
First of all, a lot of people don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
When they see it, me and Avi, we was going over it before you came over. I was like, Avi, it's Beau. It's like Boflo. That's how you say it phonetically. You know what I mean? Beau Fleuve. But just kind of talk about the inspiration with Beau Fleuve. First, like, what does Beau Fleuve mean? Like, what's the whole inspiration around Beau Fleuve Music and Arts Festival?
Yeah. So Beau Fleuve, even though we're in year 7, conceptually came about in 2014. So 3 years before we actually kicked it off. And I just really made a Facebook status. So, I want to do a festival. And an old high school friend, Janine, said, let's do it. And she was really logistic. She was in the sales industry. Adia was a part of that.
Shout out to Adia.
Shout out to Adia, was a part of that conceptual process. My homeboy Dimitri was a part of that conceptual process. That really helped cultivate some of the ideas and kind of like site locations early on 2014. And really in that first like year or two was really like, okay, like how do we want to do it? Like, do we want to go to like this level of like, okay, where it's like this Coachella where you having all these big name artists that are kind of coming from all those type of artists coming into Buffalo, kind of making it like that, right? So that was the initial idea. But then as time kept going, it was like we started to see like, wait. Buffalo has this rich history of artists. Not only do we have this rich history of artists, at that time, we're starting to have artists on the rise now. So this resurgence of this history of artists that are coming up that's in our age demographic. So why don't we create this brand that provides a platform and this festival brand, this organization that celebrates them, right? And that provides that platform. So now, as they continue to grow, we grow, and as they continue to grow, then when they get big, they circle back and they come back, right? And you see that now in many other different cities, like the Roots Picnic is a prime example of that. Drake's OVO Fest is a prime example of that. Whereas like these community, it started off as like the celebration of like that area. So like Drake's OVO is like he's celebrating Canada, he's celebrating Toronto, and then he's gonna bring his friends in. That's gonna come celebrate with him. The Roots Picnic is like this celebration of like this really great music that came out of Philadelphia. Everybody knows Philly has this really rich history. So if you look at their lineup every year, it's always like the Roots is always closing out. It's always Philly in there, and then they invite these other people to come and be a part of this. So with that being said, so then it was site location. Actually, at that time, Silo City was actually one of the sites that we looked at, but we didn't know nothing about it. It was nothing happening there. There's a few other sites that was happening. Then what was the name? Obviously, you can go Queen City, you can go Nickel City, go to all the generic Buffalo names. And I was like, no, I wanted to go something different. Let's dig deeper. So stumbled upon the name Buffalo, and it took me some time to get how to say it. I was on like Google Translator. I was asking people who spoke French. The first couple of times I even said it wrong, and but then and it came about so the origin of the name really, and I'm being respectful to indigenous people. The actual name Buffalo's land for indigenous people is Doshaway. Okay. So that's the name from the indigenous people here in Buffalo, which is across this spectrum. So now, when you have these French settlers that were coming into Buffalo, right, they were being, shown around, throughout, and they were noticing the beautiful rivers that Buffalo has. So Beau flows means beautiful flowing rivers, and that's in the French term of beautiful flowing rivers. So that's where Buffalo's got a name. And then obviously, as many of us don't know how to say it, so they translated it into Buffalo. Oh. Yeah. So that's how I got. So that's how I got it. That's how I got into that. And there's great history behind it. Some people, translate it from that. Some people also say, okay, well, being that they're saying it like this, it's also into, that, there may have been buffalo here in the area, and that's kind of how they still got to that. So that's the way to do it. And so now it becomes a conversation piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Definitely.
So it's always a conversation piece. Like, so, like if I'm wearing stuff out, like other times I'm in the airport, I'm at a restaurant. Oh, I know what that means. That means buffalo in French. And it may just be, it's always a random person that just randomly says, like, I know what that means. And it's like, however they found out about it is great, right? Because that just continues to promote the brand even more. Yeah. Or people like, how do you say it? We had a comedy show last year, and the comedian was asking, people were messing, but it's like, I don't take no offense to it, because it's like, it's great because now it's this running joke of like, how do we say it? But they know what the impact is. So launched it off 2017, and we're here now in 2013. Yeah.
So what is it that you want to do this year that you haven't done in the last 6 years? What is it in the 7th year?
Really, I would say like this year is all about like elevation to what we've been doing, right? So, started off as doing a one-day event, but it was never just to be meant. Nothing I really have done has ever been meant to just be about just the one day. It's always been having this community engagement aspect too. So obviously having that surrounding this one-day event throughout the year and not just that weekend, because we all know, many people like to do one-day events and come in for the day and then leave, pack up town and go ahead and show face. But no, really have this impact and this influence throughout the year. So start off with that for the first 5 years, up until COVID. And then right out of COVID, my boy Bird brought like, yo, let's do a softball game. So that's what kind of spent to the 2-day. Mm-hmm. So now the softball game spent to the 2-day, and then last year was, hey, let's add like a happy hour to it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Let's add a comedy show to it. Now we have this weekend, right? That we're celebrating Buffalo here, right? So now this could be a destination for people to come here, literally from Buffalo from Thursday to that Sunday, and have something to do differently. Mm-hmm. Come here and come here really to enjoy themselves. So, really the elevation of the venues that we're using, the acts that are coming in. Far as we had a lot of great regional acts last year. This year we have Spank Horton. Many of those who know, Spank is with the Plastic Cup Boys with Kevin Hart and touring nationally. Tremendously funny. That's gonna be on Thursday. Thursday, August 24th, and then Friday is going to be our VIP reception and happy hour. That's gonna be at Deco Buffalo, which is a brand new space. That's gonna be black-owned space as well too.
Nice.
Minority-owned space.
What's the name of it again?
Deco Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll be opening up in right before the summertime.
Okay.
Nice. And then even when, like, for the last 2 years we've been doing the softball. We was doing at LaSalle Park. This year we're doing on all turf under the lights at Duville College at the Dobson Field.
Nice.
So and then just at the festival, we're gonna be doing a lot of different innovation. We're adding, like, over the years we keep continuously see families coming out and so forth like that. So we're adding a family fun zone where that's gonna be supported by many of our partners. That's gonna Explore More is gonna lead that charge and have some interactive activities for kids to participate in, including also adding to that, like, face painting, caricature drawing, and balloon making, and so forth. Like even a STEM part of it as well too for families really to enjoy. We're gonna do a pull up and pitch where entrepreneurs, musicians, artists can literally come up there in the first hour of the festival and pull up and try to pitch their business idea. And they'll also doing some incubator space and so forth like that.
Are you partnering with somebody to do that?
Yeah, we can't announce that just yet. I don't know what's going to come out. But yeah, we do it. So, and I was talking about it. Let's wait till we put it out there. Yeah, we'll do an official press on that. We're adding the Canna Lounge this year with Canna House. So, obviously cannabis is a major push here in Western New York. So, we want to, obviously, artists, musicians, they involve themselves and people just involved. So we have a designated area for that where they can lounge out, chill out. That, it's kind of away from the families.
Absolutely.
Away from the families. Our vendor village continues to grow. Just somehow, like, if you've been there at the turn of the last couple of years, the way the stage and so forth been set up, we kind of changing it just a little bit to kind of get a little bit of a different feel. And we have some artists that are coming from, a little bit of outskirts. We have some artists coming from CD Rose. She's a beautiful R&B artist from Boston, Massachusetts. She's coming in. We have some other artists that we're going to be releasing out probably the next couple of weeks. That's going to be really good.
That's super dope. I want to go back just a little bit because you were talking about just the model of Buffalo, where you're kind of modeling it after like Roots Fest and OVO Fest and things like Roots Picnic. I'm sorry, OVO Fest. And you really have this focus on, cultivating that local talent, right? Do you see that being like sustainable long term? Is that going to be the model that you're going to have long term? Because oftentimes when people think about festivals, they think like the Coachellas and the Made in Americas and all that type of stuff. They have these big name artists that try to come in, and do you ever see it going in that direction at all?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? Because we talk festivals, right? People want to talk about, is Beyonce headline this joint? Is Rick Ross gonna be there? Is Taylor Swift gonna be there? Is Travis Scott of the world gonna be there? Right? So that's great, but it's a lane for everything, right? It's a lane for everything, and really don't want to say like local too much, right? You want to get to that regional aspect, that horizon aspect, because. And I'll go through a couple of like the names of artists that actually performed at Buffalo, then literally 3, 6, no less than a year later, have been on those major festivals. Where now people have actually, and now I think that's becoming the value. That's becoming the value of Buffalo, where people are like, I want to go to this event because I know I'm going to see somebody that's going to be on a big stage, and I can hold that to like saying, hey, I saw them before they blew up, and so like Danielle Ponder, she performed in 2021. She's from Rochester, New York.
Shout out to Danielle.
Right? Danielle's a phenomenal artist.
Super dope
artist. 6 months after that, she was on Seth Meyers late night. Then she's on Jimmy Kimmel. Then she started performing on these national shows with, Johnny, all these huge headline. We had Benny the Butcher closing out 1 year. 3 months after that, he signs with Rock Nation. Look where their career's going off. We got, Vinzella Joy. She performed in the first year, and he talked about 2 years later. She's the one that's opening up the Coachella for Beyonce. Right. And Zuri at the time, she was traveling with several different artists, but then she got with now she's with Lizzo. You have that. Jizzle's been at the event on the podcast stage, and look where his career is at. And then you even have like Eric Van Houten and
TJ Banks.
TJ Banks. Jizzle, that's still
it's still Jizzle because he started out with you as Jizzle.
But excuse me for branding purposes. TJ Banks. Do you have like Jay Skis, and you have Eric Van Houten, do you have many others, and then there's a multitude of other artists that that you just go to. Like, it's just so much incredible talent, right? So, and those are just the ones that, you know, that people are pointing out, like, hey, I literally saw them at your festival last year, and now I'm watching them, and they on this big stage right now. So now they want to come back and see who else can I find. So long term, to get to that point, I think it can be, because there's always an arising artist. There's always an artist looking to go, and not saying that they like this local town where they're picking up a mic, it's a talent show, but there's always an artist that, you know, like you may just post a song up and it's a dope song. Nobody knows who the artist is, but everybody playing this song, right? Yep. So, you know, you have situations like that where, you know, I feel like the value is there, because then it could be a value to, say, for instance, the industry. Like, hey, let me go to over here to this festival, because I'm seeing the track record over here, right? And I think that's just the value with it, man. I think it could be sustainable, and then also getting regional, you know. And if we were to do it with Buffalo just with solely 100% Buffalo acts every single year, I think, you know, eventually it could possibly be paying out. But and not saying that that's not enough, but you know, people also want to see some refreshness and some news. So going out, reaching out to artists in Rochester and Syracuse and New York City and Toronto and Boston and the Northeast. So now they talking about us in Cleveland or DC, and like, yo, I'm about to go play this festival in Buffalo.
Yeah.
What you think is gonna happen to the artists that here in Buffalo that the festival's built for?
Right.
Everybody got to pay attention to them now, right? So, and then you never know who's looking at that artist. It may be an A&R looking at the artist that's coming from those cities, like, hey, I also seen them going, let me see who else is on this lineup. You know, so it goes like that.
So I want to get into a little bit of the logistics behind doing a festival like this, because there may be somebody.
You had my thought. That was going to be where I was going to go next. We always say
that. We usually hear all the time. Of course, because somebody somewhere else may want to do what you do. So if you can speak about the logistics a little bit, but the one thing I definitely want you to hit on is what most people usually tend to miss when doing festivals like this that they really need to pay attention to.
So one, you need an incredible working team, right?
I was gonna go there too.
you need an incredible working team. None of this is done by myself. Can I be Superman and try to pull off by myself? Probably so.
With the burnout, sure.
With the burnout, with the sleepless nights, you know what I'm saying, and
loss
everything.
Of hair.
Loss of hair. I'm trying to still hold on. But, you know what I'm saying? So with all that, and you're gonna have some faults somewhere, right? But you gotta have an incredible working team, right? Not a team that challenges you too, right? And not just challenge you to get better, but also challenge you even in some of your thoughts and some of your ideas and some of your concepts, right? Like, hey, I would like to do this year. Why?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? How does that align with what we're doing? Because you know very well, you can say something, yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea. Or everybody says, yeah, I'm willing to help, but then you slowly find out you doing all the work, and everybody's sitting,
right.
And everybody's sitting there. You show up to the event, now everybody looks lost, but you have to have a truly working team, and I think that comes into you respecting their craft, respecting their time, but you have to show that in yourself, respecting your time, so like when I meet with my team, I don't do meetings longer than an hour. That's like my golden rule with all meetings. If somebody's like, we about to meet for 2-3 hours, like, man, I don't know if I'm being on that. Now if it carries over because we was talking about whatever else, but I would like to get to the point. Let's get to what we're talking about. Let's be effective. Let's be efficient with what we're talking about, because we all know we've been in those board meetings. We've been in those community meetings where we just talking.
Right.
Yep.
So I hope I'm not like that. Huh? I hope I'm not like that. Do I have long?
Keep going, Lindsey.
Okay. That's cool.
What else?
I got a book coming out. So, but yeah, so like, I'm a huge respecter on time. I want to respect people's time, so, and I want people to respect my time,
right,
especially when we're doing a lot of different things. You have to be respectful of your time, because if you're not, you'll get lost in the sauce. And I think a lot of people don't understand that aspect is the respect of time. You cannot do a lot of these things sleeping in. You cannot do these things not respect the time, being strenuous with your time, and then once you respect your time, people will see that, and then once you show that you're going to respect their time, they value that, right? So like, when my team is like, hey, look, put it on there, we're going to meet between this time and this time. And literally, they'll look at the clock, oh, we done. We 20 minutes early. Man, we may went through a whole slide presentation, in-depth talking, and in 30, 40 minutes, we done talking. You know, and we on about to see y'all next month, talk to y'all next month. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then have those integral meetings, with those heads of each department in those ways. But it's definitely gotta have respect for time, and you gotta have a great team. Yeah.
So what about permits? Because I know things can be a little different in certain counties and places and things of that nature. Speak to that a little bit, because I think people just say like, "Oh, I found some land. We just gonna do this here." They don't understand.
So.
Yeah, like
you're gonna pull
all
up.
of those regulations and policies in place.
Yeah. So every town, city is different, because it all depends where you want to do it. Is it city property? Is it county property? Is it private property? So you have to look at it like that, and then that kind of pushes you in a way of like what type of permits you have to get, right? And then that goes into that. So like God's Fish is City of Buffalo, right? So they want to make sure you got your permits. They want to make sure that your vendors got their permits. They want to make sure that everything is tied up. And then if you're doing anything with the sale of like beer and wine, you got to talk to SLA, because if you don't do that, you're really gonna be jammed up.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the permit for that, you can't even sell it anyway. So if you're selling it, where you getting it from, or who sold it to you? So you have a lot of you have that. Obviously, you have to have the permission of the place that you're gonna do it at, and you better have it written.
Yeah.
You better have it written in detail of exactly what you're doing. Not know. You can use it, or or email suffice. No, black and white.
Okay.
Like, and even if they don't typically do it, that's fine. But have your template of your contracts that you do, and it can just be a 1 page or whatever you feel like you got to do, and then better have your insurance. Because especially if you're doing events, you want to have insurance. Obviously, most places are gonna actually have insurance anyway, but definitely have insurance. Even if you're doing it inside of like a venue, or say if it's like a nightclub, always get insurance. Just for equipment, microphones. We insure everything. Just so you never know. Artists make it too crazy if they knock over the microphone on accident. Now this is. I don't know, how much $1,000 microphone? Yeah. I ain't trying to pay that tonight. So yeah.
Talk about some of the challenges that you face with putting together, a festival of this magnitude.
That's a good question.
Because I'm sure, like, when it comes to putting together something like
this.
Okay,
I'd probably say the biggest challenge would be, I think one of the things that you have to stay on the most is communication.
Communication just
with everybody.
With everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
With everybody. I think with your team, like they saw on the festival, with the artists. Oh my God, with the artists, y'all better get it. With the artists, with the vendors, just making sure that with your brand partners, make sure everything is clearly concise, set up, drop off, everything. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. The whole lay of the land to them, because that makes things a lot easier. So if you don't have a chain of command to do that, you better do that. And I would say, like, have somebody designated for each of those chains of command. So like, if you got a vendor, have somebody that's gonna handle just the vendors. They don't worry about nothing else but the vendors. They ain't worried about nothing else but the vendors. Got somebody handling the partners, and they ain't worried about nothing else but the partners. Right? Everybody do their lane, and you can have input on all this stuff, but you see the most success there. If everybody's trying to do 5 different things, something's gonna get lost. You need them to reflect you. So you focus on this, and then when we all come together, we all gonna talk about it all as one. I think that the next thing will probably be. I think you have to talk about brand partnerships, man. I think that's a thing where you're looking at market size, you're looking at value, you're looking at purpose, you're looking at alignment, and that's where you have to be careful at because you know how it is. Somebody can offer you say for instance for most people, in Buffalo, you get a $10,000 check from a sponsor. I'm ready to take it. That's gonna clear a lot of different things that's happening.
Right.
But does
a lot
that
of stipulations are come along
what
with that?
What comes with that?
Yeah.
What comes with that $10,000 check?
Yeah.
Do you what performance do you have to do to get that, to have that $10,000 check? Because the worst thing you want to do is be trying to promote your event and your brand partner like, well, you know, we need to, you know, and then you also want to have that being a returning $10,000 check. You know, you also want to have that be returning, so you got to make sure you want to hit them KPIs. You know, so I'm using all that. I shouldn't even be using. I hate using that.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. You want to hit your indicators, right? But because you want to have those long standing partnerships. You don't want. I think that's the biggest thing. Is like you don't want to have those one offs, right? You don't want to have those. Hey, we partnered for this year and they gave us 5 or 10. You want to know every year. I know I can get. Bottom line, I'm starting off with X, Y, and Z, right? Because I know this is what they did last year, and now when I come to last year, hey, at the bottom I know I'm gonna get this, but I'm gonna ask them for this because I performed at this level here, right? So I think we talk about brand partnerships. It's all about the industries that they're in, right? So how did that industry get shaken up? You know, do they have the same budget they did last year? Is their visions changing as far as what they want to get involved with this year, right? So you have all of those different things where it's like. Got to make sure that alignment is there, or did they just do it because, you know, they had to get behind something, right? You know, and they were just trying to check off a box, but it really wasn't there for the for the brand. So, for me, you know, sometimes less may be more, right? You may have the opportunity just to have 5 brand partners, but if those 5 ones are solid brand partners that can help you carry out your vision, y'all can build together. Do that. Stretch yourself for 25. You know. God will if you have 25, but you know, it's you know I think sometimes you know you even see some big events just have like 5. Yeah. They have like 5.
I like where you're going with that too, because we actually had one of our past episodes. We were talking about brand partnerships and brand sponsorships, right? And teaching people how to secure those deals and such. And I, you know, on a recent episode, you know, I was talking about this experience with. The Changemakers event, particularly with this year's event, because I think this was the first year that we cleared, you know, we got completely covered in sponsorship dollars. And the strategy that we used this year was we took lesser dollar amounts, but we had more partners, right? And that strategy, I think, paid off because, one, you know, we weren't, you know, when you get those larger dollar amounts, you have those people who are, you know, who you're partnering with. It's a lot of stipulations to kind of go along with it, right? They want to make sure that, you know, every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and it's like certain things you can't do.
Cut the check, let's roll.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. Just give me the money and let me do what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the strategy that we went with this year and was really successful. And this was the first time that we had complete coverage of the event through partner. We didn't have to come out of pocket at all for it.
I think what I've experienced over, you know, through almost nearly 20 years of doing events, but I've done several of them at like, this is the 7th year now, both I did 12 years at you know, with Balling for a Cause, right? And then about 12 years, so it's been consistency, right? But what I've noticed, right, is usually about your 5-year mark is where you start to get to that point where it's like you start covering base, right? Where you start getting real partners, right? And I think to a brand partner, they're looking at it like, okay, they've been consistent for 5 years, because most things don't last 5 years. You know, most sporting events don't last 5 years. Most festivals don't last 5 years. Restaurants don't last 5 years. You know, so a lot of things that don't last 5 years. So if you could do something for 5 years consistently, right, you're showing somebody that you're gonna do this, right? And you know, so that is a value and an investment of itself, that if they could do it for 5 years through the ups and downs, they're going to do 5 more. You know, so you there. So I usually start to see, like, I think with Balling for a Cause, it was like at year 5. You know, you had the little small, you know how it goes. You know, it's the little small, it's the little, you know, crumb snatchers. Oh, you do this, you get so excited to get it.
Excited for that $500 check.
Yeah, a little $5 check, that little $250 check, man.
$1,000, oh my God, we rich.
You got to be in a position like, man, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you know, so you have that. And I would just say, like, you know, the one thing you also got to know how to do is also know how to say no.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know how to say no to brand partnerships. We're talking about these events, because you got to have events. Like, unless you just sitting on it, I don't know nobody who just want to be throwing events and throwing festivals off their own dollar. You know, and you know, the first couple of years, you know, that was a sacrifice, but that was the sacrifice knowing and going into doing it, right? But now it's like I'm very comfortable now. At first, like when your early years, especially when we all first started out, you trying to take every dollar you can get, right? But now I'm comfortable saying like, nah, like, I got to do all, not saying I'm not willing to do anything, but that's a lot, because now you may be stretching my capacity out for like my team or what we really trying to do here, or put the workload on us when really, we should be the vessel for exposure, for the marketing, and for what you got to do. So also got to be able to know how to say no. Yeah. And be able to walk away from some stuff. Yeah.
Are you looking for investors for Beau Fleuve?
I put it like this: you never say no. So you never say no. I would say we are right now. It is a scaling that's going to happen very soon with some capital projects that are going to happen, and then some regional stuff that I'm looking at doing, as far as copy and paste to other markets. Okay. So where if in that opportunity there is opportunities for investors or people who want to partner. I should even say investors, partners. I don't like saying investors because that means I got to owe you some money back. I got enough bills. So partners, so people want to partner on those endeavors, because partnership means we working together. And I think I changed the language even with how I approach sponsors, right? I stopped saying sponsor, right? I started saying partner, because we're going to work together on get to this goal. We ain't just going to be, you looking for a return. We're going to work together to get this, right? So, and that angle, right now there's none. All this is done on brand partnerships, and grants and so forth like that right now. But when that scale happens, there will be some opportunities possibly to do that.
So, Lindsey, we are going to wrap up.
Yeah.
Before we do, I have one more question for you. So, besides Beau Fleuve, is there anything else within you right now that you want to manifest here in Buffalo or anywhere else? Do you see something coming down the line?
Yeah. I think one of the things now is bringing all that together, right? So, in regards to like that capital project that I just briefly touched on, is really getting to that capital project and really bringing all that together, right? We and y'all know doing events is that we have a lot of events. You also want to own some real estate with that. Until we own real estate, we always going to be chasing a venue. Venues can close and shut down like that, so right? True. They could be here tomorrow, or they could change their vision, they could close it, and we all know, it's a little harder for us to kind of get sometimes some places, So that is the next step is space.
So are you more into real estate as in building or land?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. Both. Need both.
I think so.
Absolutely need
both. You need both.
Nah, Lindsey, this was dope, bro. I'm super excited for just the growth of Beau Fleuve, just the growth of the brand of Lindsey Taylor as well.
Appreciate that.
Again, it's so many other things we didn't even
dive into. That be 2 hour podcast.
We didn't dive into the coaching. We didn't dive into the real estate.
Really be mad at us. You should just go on a podcast.
We didn't dive into this. You've been a family man. You know what I mean? There's so many different directions. We might have to have you come back for part 2.
Yeah, I'm always going to talk about that. For me, it's like, when I do podcasts, that's why I was asking, like, what we talk, because like, now it's starting to get to the, you know how it is. You go on shows just talking about the Q&A, about the same stuff over and over. But this is different, even though we're talking about both, but we got into the other stuff that we're not talking. Oh, we're bringing such and such, and we're doing like this, and you go, be done. But it's a lot relaxing to talk about other stuff that, if it's one gym somebody can use, take it.
Absolutely. Right. I would love, Jamil, let me pose this to you right now while we got Lindsey. Father's Day is coming up. I would love to do a father's podcast.
Let's do it.
That would be dope.
Lindsey, would you be a part of that? I would love to do a father's podcast.
Oh, that speaks to it. It was something that you did. The questions you asked me. Something outside of real estate. Yes, they're very, very soon getting into film. That's always been a very passion of mine since high school. I actually took film as like one of my classes in high school, but get into film and documentaries and content like that. So that very, very soon. And that actually is going to be one about black men coming out very soon.
I would love to see your hands in something like that, Lindsey.
Yeah, we probably, Lindsey and I have, we've done some stuff together before in the past, and again, I think there's so much synergy there, because like a lot of the things that we do are very similar, but at the same time, I think there's still work that we can do together.
Right.
You know, because the passions that we have just for culture, for community, I think together we can do some incredible things. You talk about film, and I mean, because honestly, that's kind of the next trajectory of Cruise Control Media as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I was fortunate enough to shoot my first kind of mini documentary last year. The same organization is bringing me back. They fly me out to DC in June to shoot another one. You know, and I'm doing another one for an elected official up here too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, I mean,
you gotta tell stories.
Yeah,
you gotta tell stories, and so for me is really that, and and I'm talking to our African American. Which camera we on? This one?
Yeah.
We gotta have an exit plan. You know, we don't have exit plans. We don't have how to pass things off to certain people. So I'm blessed to have 3 daughters. So my oldest daughter's 13. You know,
she's 13 already. You about to be 13 already?
Yeah. So it's like eventually, somebody has to take this over. And if it's not her, I don't want her to. If it's somebody else has to, so that I can move on to different things and get to different stuff. And I think sometimes too much in our community that we hold on to things too long, too much.
That's interesting. I just got done reading Nipsey Hussle's book, and the one thing he says about Black businesses, he said we never go into a business thinking about the exit strategy, and we have to.
You gotta go and know when you want to be out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you burn yourself out. One of the two.
Yeah, and also too, don't get caught up in the. If you do have an exit strategy, like if you sell your company, like we talked about this before in another podcast. Yeah. If you're going in and you're talking about selling your company, that's a strategy as well.
That's a strategy.
That's a strategy. Yep. It's not a sellout. It's not a because oftentimes, our community, we get really sensitive about
our stuff.
We want
to just hold,
which is great. But it's like if you look at it, we idolize Jay-Z, we idolize Diddy, we idolize all these different people. What do they all have? They have partners. They have exit plans. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z buys business and 5 to 10 years later sells them later. Mm-hmm. So it's a business to it. And he's moving on to the next thing. Now does Jay-Z as his brand, is it diminished because he sold his spirits and champagne portfolio? Mm-hmm. No. Right. His pockets increased. But the brand of Jay-Z still says, so now he can dabble into something else if he wants to. So I think people just have to understand that there's other things to go.
Yeah, it's easy to quarterback from the sidelines for a lot of people. You know what I mean? But aside from all of that, man, we appreciate you, bro. So listen, Beau, just talk a little bit one more time, like the dates for it, how people can get tickets, all of that stuff. And if you want, I don't know, I know everything hasn't been announced just yet because you're rolling out the announcements and everything, So the things that have been announced and the things that you're willing to share, kind of talk about it.
I'll talk about a couple of something. I'll keep it to, I'll go in 2 minutes. So the Beau Music and Arts Celebration Weekend, the 7th annual weekend is happening August 24th to August 27th. Thursday, August 24th is Spank Horton, featured at our Laugh a Little comedy show. That's at the Kavanaugh Theater at Duville University, excuse me.
Put some respect on it, bro.
Put some respect on it, right? Friday, August 25th is our VIP reception at Deco Buffalo. We will be announcing our honorees that we're going to honor in the community and the arts and so forth like that. That will be coming out very soon. Saturday, August 26th is our softball challenge. Very fun event for the community at Dobson Field at Duville University. And then the 7th annual Buffalo Music and Arts Festival celebration at the Buffalo Central Terminal is going to happen on Sunday, August 24th from 2 to 9. Early bird tickets actually go on sale this Saturday, May 27th for a month. You can get tickets for as low as $10 or we call them the Herd Pack, buy 3, get 1 free. And then we also pay attention to us at Buffalo Music Arts. Starting next month, Ticket Tuesday, so we'll be giving away pairs of tickets every Tuesday with our brand partners. So pay attention to that. There's some trivia questions that happen. And just leading up to the event, I got 30 seconds. Here we go. So, all right, so we have our Mix It Up Challenge that's happening in June. We also have some community events that's happening in July. One of them being is our Day of Play. That's going to be happening at the Explore More Museum. This is going to be a great event for the families to bring your kids out to Explore More. It's a pay what you can day, so you ain't got to worry about your pockets. If you only got $1, that's all you got to pay. If you are a community organization that you want to sponsor families, I really want to do this for families in underserved communities, to underwrite some families to come for free. Not enough families of color and in our communities, underserved communities, get to actually experience the Explore More Museum. So I would love for community organizations to then sponsor some families to come for free. That's going to happen on July 29th. Yes, July 29th. I'll make sure I got my date right. Saturday, July 29th. Then we're actually going to be hosting a First Friday event at the Buffalo AKG on Friday, August 4th. Buffalo Brunch, invite only. That's Sunday, August 6th. And then we lead into the weekend. So
that's super dope.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You got a lot of things going on, man.
Yeah.
It's active. And
so 8 to 10 events, I think, that just happened between the summer.
Yeah, 8 to 10 events in the weekend. He gone from a single day event, just a single event. Now you got 8 to 10 events in the weekend. That's,
we be over
incredible.
here stressed about 30 and 30.
Yeah.
But it come out great. See what I mean? Yeah, it's going out great.
But you know what, man? I absolutely love everything that you're doing, and I'm personally going to commit to purchasing a bulk of tickets for Beau Flow because I want to be able to give some out. Do the podcast and things like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw some support behind you, and even some of the community events that you're gonna be doing as well with Explore More. Like you know, you definitely have my support on that.
Appreciate
bro.
that.
You know
Appreciate
what I mean?
that.
So, cause you know everything you do, bro, I gotta, you know.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
The merch.
We need stuff like that. Yeah, the merch, everything. Yeah. We try to go full brand, merch, everything. Yeah. We're gonna have a coffee table in a minute.
Yeah.
I definitely want that shirt though. This
one came. This is everybody loving the gray. When I brought the gray one,
like
it's
that
like
gray.
2 years old. But we
got the green one.
Yeah,
I
so
got the green one.
If they want some merch, we got the shorts. Everybody go crazy with the shorts.
Got those too.
Yeah. And then we got some t-shirts coming out. We got some hats coming out. So we set the temple up, you know, and really just be full on brand, you know, and people be proud of it.
That's good, Lindsey.
Yep,
awesome.
Website. What's the website?
BeauFlowMusicArts.com. Actually, Jamil designed that. Right? Yeah.
Oh, was that a little plug for you right there, Jamil?
And it was the second design too. We did the first design, and then we came back.
Yeah.
And we made it. It's even better. It speaks right to our message and our point. So, great job. So if you need a website.
I don't know if you wanted that.
I ain't know. It might be a little higher price. All the demand.
The price is yesterday's price.
It's not today.
Yeah, it's probably not today's price. You know, but no, just real quick, just spell Beau Flow because I want people to make sure
they get to the right.
I don't want them to put BOFLO. You know, so
BEAUFLEUVE.
Okay.
Yep,
BeauFlowMusicAndArts.com. Y'all can go there, get your tickets. I've been to the event maybe the last several years. I think it was only one that I missed, actually. I think it was just one that I missed. And I'm telling y'all, every year it just...
We're just going to keep doing it.
It's a vibe, man. Beau Flow is... I think it was last year. I wasn't even supposed to go. And I was like, I kind of snuck down there because I was doing something else. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah, I think I remember you pulled up.
Himself somewhere. He always does that.
And I pulled up down there, and it was an amazing time. So, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for all that you're doing here in the community and such, man. So, and thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. Make sure you follow us across all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on Audible. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us across all of our social media channels. At We Are the Ones podcast. Something with that in my throat.
You good? And remember, keep winning on purpose because you are the one we've been waiting for. Thank you, Lindsey.
Appreciate it. Yo, hold up.